It is time for game two, Crest Gaming Act versus Burning Core. Hello, Middlecott. Hello, Melvin. Welcome back from 6 minutes ago. How are we feeling for today's match? Well, game
Um,
two's match.
uh, Slightly
Eh,
less
Same
optimistic for the
enthusiasm?
quality of this game
hard
compared
to
to last
follow
one.
up, yes.
But it's still going to be a matchup that I think is very, very important in terms of both these teams' trajectories and especially the standings, because these are two teams that
Right.
have underperformed this split and are actually in a shot of falling out of playoffs.
Absolutely. I think it's something we need to keep an eye on because if either of these teams lose, for Crest, it's awful because you'll be tied with Axis with a losing head-to-head record, and Axis play V3 next. So we expect them to win, which
Yes.
means that if Burning Core lose this, they will be tied with Axis. So
Yeah.
absolute dire situation for the loser of this game, meaning that all of the last week has been building up to this. Both of these teams were on a loss streak, so hopefully they've been able to reset the mental. And it's the question of, can Burning Core win this matchup this time around?
Hopefully. Actually, what an interesting dynamic that we have to look at things this way. Like these two, well, only one of them has a chance to win, and the next one up in the standings is against V3. So,
Mm,
well, chances that's actually super crazy that, they are it's similar to BDS and the LEC, I would say. But
yeah.
well, moving on back to the LJL. Crest has been a little bit wobbly with their play. Why do you guys think that they have been struggling so far?
I think for me, it's kind of an imbalance on the map. Hybrid is an incredible AD carry, and Nema is a serviceable support alongside him. But when you start looking at the mid jungle specifically for Crest Gaming Act, it is a hell of a lot weaker. Kasin is an incredible player, but he is also incredibly inconsistent. If he's not on comfort, if he is not playing the champions that he feels comfortable with or confident with, then oftentimes he looks lost. And Kaito, absolutely love them, but they are very, very limited in terms of champion pool. And even when they're on their Ari and on their Zoe, they're still losing a lot of matchups that they really shouldn't be.
Yeah, I think if we see that Zoe banned away, expected to be the case from Burning Core, then this becomes a very different game. Because the issue then becomes, looking over to the jungle pool, why is there so much trundle between these two? Both of these junglers have played 3 trundle games this split, and while it's something that's been getting picked globally, success, not that high. Effectiveness, not that high. I
Mm,
think that for both of them, it's a fallback champion where Trundle offers a bare minimum of utility. And if you're
Right.
not ready to throw out those AP counter picks potentially, it does start to almost falter in a game, which means we look towards what other junglers are available. And something I'm hoping that will be coming up with this week off is going to be the Sunfire's Diana.
mm.
I think that
But
this pick is absolutely broken. It offers insane value. The biggest issue with it is that Poppy is super good in the meta, and so is Talia. So does start to
exactly, I
ask
was going to say,
questions.
are we going to be seeing a Talia jungle maybe in this game then?
Hmm,
I
could
mean,
do.
we definitely
Mayhaps.
could do. I think Flawless is the sort of player to pull it out because they do favor a lot of these AP junglers like the Talia, but also like the Diana, which is kind of getting permabanned against him. So
Right.
if that goes unbanned by Crest Gaming Out, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Flawless on one of those 2 AP picks.
What is it that he's doing differently to make Diana such an important ban against them?
I think he just clears very, very efficiently on the champion. Obviously, she spikes so incredibly hard at level 6, and Dice in the mid lane is happy to play stuff like the Yone, like the Yasuo that pairs up so effectively with that Moonfall. But it's a similar
Right.
story to Kasin in many ways. He just looks a hell of a lot more confident. His pathing is cleaner, his invades are a lot smarter, and his engages in team fights are absolutely on point.
Well, that's fair. Well, guys, with a new patch, do we think? Oh, never mind. No
Oh,
time for questions. We are moving on to picks and bans. So, well, I guess you stay with Crest Gaming Act versus Burning Core, and I will go away now. Goodbye.
bye, Lara.
All right, where's Senna?
Where's... You're not even giving me a chance to intro Melvinism. We're just straight
Absolutely
up going,
not.
where is Senna?
Where is Senna? Because the biggest difference between the previous time these two played against each other is we have Yuhi now in the ADC role, out of the support role, and the biggest thing that they have offered this team again has been locking in that Senna and being serviceable. So that is going to be my main question with this kind of fasting style on the table. Bans still coming out. Go ahead, you can chuck out the intro now if you really want to.
Welcome to... Well, I can't go welcome to Champions Select because you've already talked about Champions Select. But we're here, regardless, seeing a few mid-lane bans from CGA. That's Silas and the LeBlanc. Obviously, Talia can go mid or jungle. And Burning Core banning out a couple of those junglers, like the Poppy and like that Wukong, who offer a lot of strong engage potential for Kassin.
And now we do need to see what is going to be the priority for the first pick. We did have the Talia as the first pick in the previous game. Obviously, that is
hold
taken
on,
away.
hold on, Melvin Izzle. I've spotted something. We've had a little bit of a shift around from CJ here. It's actually Cocoon and Primo.
Oh,
who are coming into the squad from the academy side. That was so much success in that academy scene. So we're going to have to see what sort of curveballs this throws towards Burning Core as the Gwen locked in for Nap in the top lane. Possibly one of the few things that hasn't surprised us so far.
No, very normal pick. And the question then becomes, what are you going to lock in? Because well, I'm pretty sure Darius has a decent matchup into that Gwen, if you wanted to. There's also the Gangplank still on the table, something that Rayfaki could lock in. It will be the Gragas picked. This is something we've seen from them in the top lane. Is obviously a flex pick. Not expecting it to be heading into any other role, but it just leaves it a bit more open than something a bit more rigid like the Darius would have.
Yeah, and this Aphelios going to be locked in, a champion that has sort of found more success for Yuhi than really any other champion, possibly aside from that Senna, but it's one of those picks that he does look a hell of a lot more comfortable on, which is what you need as this AD carry matching up against Hybrid, who I think it's fair to say maybe a couple tiers higher than you.
Yeah, now the question becomes, expecting something between that Nautilus or the Pike for loser in this third pick, what will you lock in? The Kalista is going to be picked up for Hybrid, very high priority across the world right now.
Ooh!
Okay, that's dirty. The Mumu support, the biggest nerf that happened to them that took them out of the role was the Q mana going up. That got reverted not too long ago. So this bot lane duo is absolutely disgusting. The kill pressure from level 1 onwards is nutty.
I think that's the key thing. So often we see Hybrid on safer picks like the Ezreal, but we really don't like to see him on that. We want him on stuff like the Kai'Sa, like the Kalista, that can go very, very aggressive and spike really, really hard in the mid stages. The Mumu going to enable that as well. It's Burning Core really identifying what CJ want to do with this bot lane, responding with the Braum, a great pick at neutralizing early aggression.
Absolutely top notch. And it does start to leave the question of what are we going to expect from Cocoon in this mid lane? Because now we don't just have the default, oh, ban Zoe and go next, we're fine. As it will just be standard, remove the Kassin Volley Bear. Makes a lot of sense when you want to almost throw a loop through things. When you have such power in the bottom lane and a reliable mid to late game carry of Gwen in the top, what you really do need is one of those junglers that can get proactive, force the play, as we actually get the Yasuo ban, as opposed to that of the Diana with that Gragas already in, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that ability to sort of combo the ultimates, the last breath with the explosive cast is really, really impressive. As Volibear and Viego taken away from Kassin, so the jungle pool for CJ has been focused really, really heavily. There are still a few things available, like that Trundle, but the pool has been pitched significantly.
Hey, it will just be a standard scaling Corki saying that we want no chance for you to negate our engage here. Whether that be from actually retreating or just never being in range to get on top of in the first place. It will be a standard-looking Azir pickup for Dice in the middle lane. One of those great disengages. The issue is the Amumu ultimate, well, pretty much negates any attempt at that if they ever get on top of you.
Yeah, very vulnerable when locked down. Victor going to be the pickup for Cocoon. Has played this a couple times in the Academy League already. Has been finding some decent success with that on CGA Academy, so I wonder if they're going to be able to translate that to the main stage. Dice definitely an opponent in the mid lane who can bully some of these newer entries to the league, as Jin Zhao going to be locked in for Kassin.
I prefer that a lot to the Trundle. When you're playing against an Azir, Braum, and Gragas, Trundle does not get to play the game. So going for something with that engage works a lot better. Now, on the other side, Trundle actually does have a historically amazing matchup into the Zin because you just stat check them. And looking at the other side, Amumu jumps in, they just get Trundle ulted, immediately melted down. So I think that this actually is a fine Trundle angle for Flawless. Not the best champion in the world right now, but I think this is an okay situation for it.
Yeah, and we do see that this R5 Trundle does come through from Burning Core relatively often, so maybe something that CGA expected to come through, but we are seeing a little bit of a different complexion, especially here from the blue side for CGA. I think they've got a few more of those early game tools, especially in that jungle and in that bot lane, to get themselves really started. But then the scaling threats this Gwen and the Victor are going to provide definitely something that is going to be worrying Burning Core.
And looking at how this game is almost expecting to play out, right? We have got the extreme aggression that could come out from this Kalista Amumu bot lane, which just immediately translates over to early dragons. The thing is, Trundle is one of those champions that if they aren't getting those early objectives, their utility falls off very quickly as the game goes on. So it's almost going to be a bit of headbutting around that objective to see how we can actually have CGA look to contest it when they are going to be walking into a pillar.
Yeah. Potentially walking into an Emperor's Divide as well, because obviously that Azir can provide that strong sort of disengage as well as the engage potential. Gragas, kind of the same as well. So flexibility in the two solo laners here for Burning Core, and if they can split up CJ a little bit in terms of these fights and be able to focus down a couple of these members very, very quickly, it can go very swiftly in their favor.
Absolutely. This game is going to be all about picking those priority targets and taking them down before they get to use those big game-winning abilities, because there are so many in this match. I would say even the pillar to an extent, when you're against an immobile mid like that Victor, and the fact that you're against a Kalista who absolutely suffers from being slowed in the attack speed department, this is going to be something that I think Flawless can have a very significant impact on these fights. It's just going to be a matter of who gets bursted out first, as we do see 3 first strikes in this game.
Yeah, and both of them are on the mid lane as well, so Kakun and Dice really trying to assert that they're the one with the longer range in that mid lane. Obviously, that first strike bonus gold when you hit your opponent first, but if you take a little bit of damage from them before you're able to get that first hit in, it is absolutely worthless. So these mid lane trades are going to be really interesting to see who's initiating them, because that's likely the person who's going to come out on top, especially in the long run.
And very minor thing, we do see that Dice actually has the Scorch. This is something I want to bring up, because with First Strike, any dot effect, something like the Malzahar E, or things like the Corrupting Potion, which we do see that Cocoon has picked up, it means that if you hit somebody before your first strike comes back up, the dot will immediately proc it, so you will continually have that advantage. It's something that when you play Victor, he loves to take Corrupting Potion, because the early game trades can go so heavily in your favor.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Flash that wall.
Oh, hell yes. Flawless,
this is the game we're in.
Absolutely not messing around,
Kassin,
looking
no
for an
smite.
invade onto the Kassin, who has no smite. Flawless,
No
stealing
shot.
away the Grompard, running down the Jin Zhao. The autos from the Trundle deal so much damage. The bite, the chomp, one more hit, but no! Kassin popping the pot, staying alive, but already not having fun.
Okay, Flawless came to play, and now they're going to be able to immediately run down into the bottom side. My biggest issue is, while they have mid-prio from Dice, this won't actually do anything onto the bottom side, because you're against a Kalista Amumu who has insane prio. So if Flawless goes for this invade, extremely risky, they will be heading over wards, and it looks like they understand that and just say, alright, I've gimped both of our clears, but I get to my camp first.
Flawless has spent the entire break just coming up with that path, as Nat playing very aggressive onto Ray Farkey. We know that the Burning Core top laner proficient on this Gragas, but Nat equally as skilled on the Gwen. Hybrid and Primo potentially in trouble now as the flash fall from Loser responded to from Hybrid as Primo. Going to be slowed with the pillar, but no further aggression coming out.
Trade of flashes means that a repeat gank with that Hex Flash is imminent from Flawless. However, with all your camps up, it does start to beg the question, because one of the biggest things that can go wrong with these kind of early ganks is that you could just get massively out-farmed. But because we saw Flawless do that level 2 invade and send Kassim back to base with nothing to buy bar a control ward, they've actually been able to negate the biggest weakness of this early aggressive pathing.
I'm loving seeing these Hex Flashes from Flawless, just to make his
rune.
Just to make his jungle clear slightly quicker. Obviously, Trundle not usually able to jump over walls this often, but
or ever
having fun.
Not an iconic Trundle ability.
Well, I mean, if you've got a flash, normally you can jump over walls, but yeah, the Hex Flash is a a little bit less common as Kassin spotted on a ward here by Burning Core, and that's important because this Xin Zhao really wants to be getting stuff done in the early stages, and with that early invade from Flawless setting in behind and now being spotted on that vision, it's going to find it a lot harder to actually make the ganks work.
And now looking at what's happened here from the top side, just to continue with those ganks, is the fact that Nap has retreated down to this crab to try and get anything for Kassin. As we see Flawless, like a dog off their leash, is sprinting towards that crab right now. They will not get it, but of course that means, all right, well, take my own topside camps.
No way. No, are they going to hex flashes?
Oh, yeah.
My God.
It's the second
Flawless.
grump.
Oh, this is absolutely brilliant. I'm getting deja vu all over again, Melvin Issel. No
This is
smite
great.
available for Kassin. Flawless going to steal away another grub.
And once again, nothing from Cocoon to follow. This is not something that Victor is good at. This champion needs to be staying in lane and getting that farm because it allows you to get towards the evolve stacks, and that's when you become a real champion, right? Victor is not proficient at roaming to his jungler and helping as a Nap. No ghost, but he's going to chase.
Yeah, Rayfaki does still have the flash available. Isn't going to be forced to use it as that last little drip of mana,
awful.
able to get the Q out. But yeah, this wave state is not in a great place for Rayfaki. And whilst they are technically ups, yes, technically winning this lane in terms of the pressure, no, that's all Nap.
Yeah, this is about to be a very dire spot if we don't get Flawless pathing over, but you see very intelligent ward in the river from Nap means that even if there is Hex Flash shenanigans to behold here, you will be ready for it. And Trundle, very bad at helping break a freeze like this. You basically need to throw yourself at the tower to get anything done. As Rayfaki, gonna get zoned off. We do get some aggression from CGA onto the bottom lane, though. We'll start off this dragon. I like this a lot.
And Primo going to walk over and try and secure a little bit of vision. Quite shallow into the enemy jungle. That control ward, I think more used for setting up potential dives. Obviously making sure that the enemy can't spot out your mid laner's path through to that bot lane. But I don't think bot lane dives are particularly likely, considering how DICE has basically been at Cocoon's tower this entire laning phase.
I want to also just throw out the fact that because they've had to both TP back into mid lane, this Victor is going to be just trapped here for a very long time. They do not have the lost chapter, whereas DICE does. This is a positively awful lane state to be in, because now, as the game goes on, the longer DICE can keep Cocoon in lane, the more priority they'll have for longer. They can keep this going all the way up until Rift Herald spawn, and because it's on the side of the map for Flawless, they can Hex Flash in, or regular Flash in, let's be real, and just take that straight away. Insane pressure potential from this jungler.
I feel like this top quadrant is actually just Flawless's. I wouldn't be surprised if they've taken more camps on this part of the map
They
than
have.
Kassin has, as a couple of Grump steals are going to take away the blue buff as well. And I think Burning Core feeling a lot more confident. They've not had any kills yet, but they've still been able to accrue a small gold lead for themselves. And that's mostly just these lanes, particularly that mid-side, winning out.
And hilariously, the issue of Trundle as a jungler is they really struggle to clear their red side camps because they don't have AoE. So Flawless, with the 5-head strategy here, just says, all right, I can't have my red quadrant, but neither can you. So it's almost like normally you would say a jungler is gapping when they 3-quadrant. They take control of 3 different quadrants of the map and just have that. Flawless is 2-quadranting, but just because of the mid-prio, there is a line that stops Kassin farming their own red side.
Oh, and I'm loving these trades from DICE. Every time he clears those back line range minions, goes forwards onto Cocoon and keeps bullying them under tower. Oh, no. Flawless has already got this this grub timing, so could just make his way into this top side whenever he wants. Kassin, I believe, has already taken away that objective. So, hey, one Lord Grobulus in favor of the CGA jungler, but Flawless doesn't care. They're just going to start up the Herald instead.
Yep, speaking of objectives, we finally have got Hybrid and Primo actually binded. They hadn't used the Black Spear to this point, but now, with them walking over, it's waiting to see if this Amumu can get level 6 off of the wave.
It doesn't look likely as DICE is going to scoop Nap into the rest of his teammates. And the Crescent Guard from Kassin, not enough to keep them alive.
5.
Primo diving in, diving out quickly as possible as Cocoon is starting to make their way over. But this fight has already been won by Burning Core, and they're going to get another kill to just confirm it. 2 for 0 and the Herald.
I have no idea what that was from CGA. With a level 5 Amumu jumping in, the only reason I could find was they were trying to save Kassin, knowing they could get back out. But at the end of the day, it's still a massively losing play. will forfeit over this Herald and kills to Burning Core. Very nice, because with this insane mid priority, it just begs the question of what you want to do with it. As look how this starts off, right? This is astounding from Dice. Managed to get inside the Gwen circle, knowing the dash has just been used. And Kasin gets out, trades places with their support, gets pulled away, and then tries to escape, but Ray Farkey is having none of it.
Yeah, can go so aggressive on this. Gragas wasn't having a fun time in a lot of the lanes, but this Gragas is much more about these team fights, much more about buying a load of space and ruining the enemy composition. Now, CGA are in a pretty dire spot right now. A 1.5 thousand gold down, and Dice, particularly on this Azir being enabled, is going to be really disastrous to them. I'm wondering how the Burning Core mid laner is going to use the advantage that they've got to snowball the rest of this game.
Well, considering that you've picked up the Rift Herald for your jungler, it means that now this bot lane that was meant to be the biggest advantage state for CGA could just get completely shut down in one fell swoop. Ray Farkey on this Gragas is able to survive lane. We've seen it this whole time. Well, Nap has had the better end of it. They haven't been able to get any significant advantage. No plates have been taken. No solo kills have happened. It's looked close at times, but at the end of the day, Ray Farkey, very good player right here on the Gragas, able to just exist. So I want to see Dice coming down with Flawless and just gooning this bot lane.
Ooh, Chaos Storm actually going to be dropped from Cocoon, dealing 50% of Dice's HP. No real kill threat from the Victor at this point in the game, but it's nice to see that CGA's new mid laner not afraid to drop those abilities to try and play aggressive up against Dice. But I want to look at this bot lane, as right now Primo's being caught. The pillar putting them against the wall. This is maybe relatively tanky, but still being taken very, very low. It's going to go back in with the Curse of the Sad Mummy, as Kasin is also joining the fight. CJ could look to turn it around here, as Yuzi is going to be falling down, and Cocoon is rotating over. Dice is here as well, though, with both mid laners joining the fight. Both teams back away from each other. A 1-for-1, a kill on the board for CGA, though.
I think the most significant part of that is the fact that, oh, hold on a minute, Dice looking for it. I was going to say it's the fact that Dice didn't get to base because they have the teleport. He's going to be able to get that HP back if they go, but...
Oh no, Cocoon.
This is...
Yeah, you've just gone too far forward. You've just burned your flash to save your life, but you may be falling down regardless. The flash forward, the jump from Trundle. Flawless with another kill.
Oh, some debut woes on that one, as this will just be the Herald chuck down to secure some mid plates. It will not be the Dragon, though. Most importantly, is it will just be the retreat. Kasin over here, able to at least salvage something. He's going to be able to look for this mid prior, and potentially, with Hybrid already in the bottom lane, will have advantage state on the map. Let's see how this actually kicked off, because it was just Flawless catching Primo out, who was looking for a loop around.
Yeah, this pillar placement, like, so exceptional. I mean, credit to Flawless. Like, we talked about how the Trundle hasn't really been working for him as a pick, but in this game, it has been absolutely exceptional.
And the fact that Hybrid, with the lethal tempo, is actually able to keep auto-attacking is the reason that there is a return kill here, right? In most circumstances, when you're against Brom and Trundle, Kalista can't DPS. And this is a great flash reaction, right? It's great. But it was all about the decision-making, as I think we're going to have to throw back to live in a moment.
Yeah, we have just seen a Dragon taken by CGA, but we might see a couple of kills taken by Burning Core. The Moonlight Vigil offering so much damage, and Yuhi claims his first kill of the game.
I don't know if you're going to be calling Worth on that one.
No.
As now the mid lane is going to be opened up. Dice, once again looking, that Emperor's Divide is about 20 seconds off, and you see Flawless is looking for something.
Again, like, Dice just playing this Azir so aggressively, I don't think we really see players trade like that, but when you are up against a Victor, a champion who needs items, needs gold, needs time to get to that point where he can offer some sort of resistance, you really can just play aggressive as you like, as he getting a little bit of free time on this bot lane tower, not going to be able to take down the second plate, but, I mean, credit to them doing all right on this Aphelios.
Yeah, when you have this bot lane matchup, the counter pick and support showing to be so massive, no solo kills happening in the bottom lane, which is really what you want when you lock in the Kalista. You don't pick it to scale to 3 items. You pick it to dominate lane, secure early dragons. Technically, you've managed to get away with that one, and then use that advantage to run the map after it. But there isn't really a map to run to at this point.
Yeah, really, it's only this top lane for CGA Nap. Yes, he has fallen down once on this Gwen, but it is still going to be a strong scaling. In fact, this is really the only place that I think that CGA can reasonably now find advantages, as Mythic's starting to come through for Dice and Yuhi, and Hybrid and Cocoon just aren't on their power level yet.
So one thing I will say about the Burning Core itemization choices is you can see in all 3 mythics that have come out, they are opting for burst. They want to kill you immediately and not opt into an elongated fight.
Which is a fine strategy a lot of the time, but if you're not able to take down the Gwen particularly quickly, she is a champion that we've seen numerous times that can just scale later and later in the game and really start to take over.
Exactly, especially when you pair it with the Victor and the Callista as well.
There's Kassin here, making his way into the bottom half of the map just to try and clear out that wave a little bit. See the tablet goes, you alright, Melvin, is everything okay? Yeah. Yes. Yes. Bro! That was unnecessary!
Well, you know, that's fine. We're all
A little bit too savage, but I mean, to be fair, it has kind of been savage against CGA, as they really haven't been able to stand up in these early stages. As look at that gap in the mid lane. Cocoon, like, living for a lot of time, but Dice has just had so much space to gain a load of these advantages. We're now starting to see members of CGA move towards this Rift Help, but that's going to free up Yuhi to take down this tower in the bot lane.
With perfect guns to do it as well. This is absolute free real estate for them. And being able to move your Azir to the side lane is going to be fine, because when you look at the dive tools for CGA, it's great in a team fight, but if you are burning the Callista ult, the Amumu ult, things like this to actually dive an Azir on side, then suddenly the Aphelios loops around with their support and just dominates you in any follow-up skirmish. So it leaves you in a really awkward spot for CGA, where the lane assignments can pretty much be whatever Burning Core want.
As don't know why we're looking at that bot lane tower.
It's alive.
It's alive. It is alive. It is alive, and all the towers actually alive for Burning Core right now, as we are starting to see them fall on the side of CGA, and this is sort of where we start to see these leads really translate into a bit more concrete advantages. Once you take down those structures, the vision lines, as are being highlighted here, can be pushed that a little bit further. It makes it hard for CGA to check into their own jungle, because Flawless, Rayfaki, Dice could be hiding there, and those are bad people to run into.
Yeah, nobody is exactly wanting to face check here. And the thing is, when you have Kassin and realistically Nap is your second best face checker, not a recipe for success, because that Gwen does not want to be burning the mist walking in. You need to be doing it during the scrap, because it's the only way you could survive such a far ahead Azir and Gragas at this point. The burst potential from the two of them with these mythics is insanity. And Nap doesn't even have their own mythic. Walking down to this dragon fight right here, it doesn't feel like it's going to be a fight. It feels like this needs to be CGA pulling out a miracle, using this Rift Herald to buy a lot of pressure, and then just rushing the dragon before there's any counterattack from Burning Core.
But the thing is, that mid lane tower is still pretty tanky for Burning Core, so whilst this Rift Herald is going to get a charge, it's not going to take down that tower. So the advantage that CGA have in terms of pressure moving into this river is only temporary. And look at Rayfaki here, chilling on the top side, already has that Night Harvester completed and is going to be able to TP in. This isn't spotted by CGA as they go forward in the fight, recognise they can't turn around, and they try and make it happen. The Moonlight Vigil going to buy some time, but Dice is already dead before Rayfaki can even join the fight. Mid laner for support is a trade that CGA are going to be very happy with.
So well done from Primo, managing to secure the kill onto Azir. Otherwise, Dice could have TP'd back in, but this objective is not done with Flawless walking over. Smite about to be up.
Oh,
Ray
Flawless
Farkey
locked down with the gravity field there as Yuhi is providing the damage. Hybrid is going forward and is able to take out the Braum, kiting so effectively on this Glisten. But Yuhi takes them out in the pit. Rayfaki in a little bit of a 2v1 scenario, as the Drake did go in favor of CGA. Kassin is dead, and now Cocoon with no mana gonna be chased down. Once again, CGA claim the Drake, but they lose so many people in the fight.
And now the question is, what could Burning Core do with this? Dice fishing to try and get one last kill, but that Gwen gonna sneak away is Nap, as now turns the pressure over to the mid lane tower, but with just a Gragas, a Trundle, and no minions, that is not a recipe for a dead turret. Wow, okay.
Melvin,
let's see how that actually happened.
This was such an insane series of plays.
Because it was Primo starting off the play, this rookie support coming in, seeing that they are about to be flanked by this Gragas, saying, okay, we've got to force it, And then to get around the Azir wall, this is Hybrid chucking their support in. Such a great combo. But then you have to get back in another time. Flash E-ing to kill Azir really secures this fight for CGA. If they're not dead, this is a completely different story. And watch the split that happens right here. Half of the CGA members stick onto the dragon, trying to keep Rayfaki off. But Hybrid goes absolute monster mode, only executed by that Yuhi Gale Force, as then the fight is opened up one last time. Rayfaki gets the chase down. Mana Pool secures the fight for Burning Court at the very end of it.
Oh my word. But it does set up a very intriguing prospect for us, because in a few minutes' time, Crest Gaming Act are going to have the opportunity to claim a Infernal Soul. They're at a massive disadvantage right now, as Burning Core now 4,000 gold in the lead, and you're seeing how effective Rayfaki was in that fight on this AP Gragas, how much damage they were able to bring to bear. But if CGA can sneak away one more Drake, then their chances in this game go up pretty significantly. Kassin and co thinking about a gank in the top side, but Flawless waiting in the wings to protect his mid laner.
The subject of comeback tools, the Baron has now spawned, and whenever there is a Kalista in the game, you really do need to keep an eye on it. You have a Gwen as well, insane potential for a Baron DPS. You are on the right side of the map as well to look for an easy sneak. The question is, how many blue wards do you have ready for Burning Core? Because anytime you leave this unwarded, there is always the risk that it just disappears. Rayfaki going for a little loop around. And one last thing is the fact that you are completely correct. There is massive dragon stacking, but no mountains means that all of these members for CGA are still really squishy, right? They all blow up to the Burning Core squad. So it's something that we do need to keep in mind, that just because they are ahead on the objectives, it doesn't actually make them any safer in these fights.
Yeah, it's a very strange dichotomy of having all of these dragons that can provide so much potential power, but in terms of realistically now, you're still in a deficit. And it's a deficit which is actually continuing to grow as DICE is able to take down that tier 1 tower on the top side, the final tier 1 tower that Burning Core needed to remove for the Rift, and they still maintain all of their own structures.
If you are not able to walk in to Burning Core, how do you ever kill them? And I mean, the Infernal Rift is probably as good as it could get for CGA. You could argue maybe a Hextech Rift to be able to flank with that Amumu would have been great, but having all these open areas is what you asked for, right? When you're against the Braum, against the Azir, against the Trundle, the zone control is so irritating for CGA to deal with. So the question is, how can they set up this vision control around the objectives to try and be there ahead of time? Because if Burning Core ever gets to the Baron, gets to the Dragon first, it realistically shouldn't have a window in for you.
And that's what we're seeing from Burning Core now. A minute until that Infernal Drake is on the Rift, clearing down some wards in the mid-side, summoning that that tower to provide an additional bit of pressure. And I mean, we talked about how CGA have got decent like DPS on the objectives. Burning Core definitely do as well with the Azir and that Aphelios. So if either of these teams is able to find a moment of lapse of concentration in their opponent, then objectives are going to be falling very, very quickly. CGA now trying to stance up in their own bot side jungle, trying to assert a little bit of pressure, because this next Drake could be game winning for them.
2 teleports are available for the Burning Core members, so a flank is always possible to go for those game-winning plays. It's risky to run into an Amumu, but if you sneak up behind the Victor and the Kalista, the fight is pretty much over before it starts. Keeping an eye on flash cooldowns. Cocoon is going to have his very soon Hybrid just about to be up. 2 stopwatches, most importantly on the solo laners for Burning Core, means that if you get a good engage for CGA, it may just get denied right in your face.
As the Dragon joins the Rift, we're starting to see CGA move forward. Burning Core haven't started the objective just yet, content to poke a little bit, but DICE actually taking a fair chunk to their health bar. CGA now moving in as the Dragon starts to reset. Flawless running forward. Gonna be not quite dropping the subjugate as of yet, as Nap is waiting in the wings on the other side of the wall. Neither of these teams feeling comfortable to pull the trigger just yet.
And the thing is, neither team actually wants to run to mid. We finally have Hybrid do it now to clear out the last few minions. and you don't want to abandon it, because as soon as you see Hybrid in the mid lane, Yuhi on that objective instantly. No chance to play for priority. You need to play for this. It is Soul. Nap is over the wall.
Nap going over all. Primo diving in, but the shuffle knocks the Amumu away from the carries of Burning Core. It may not matter as CGA have already taken the dragon. They've already taken a kill, and they might just claim this game flawless. Flashing forward the jump to turn it around as Hybrid trying to 1v2 on the other side of the fight, and he gets it. This is why this guy's one of the best AD carries in the league.
Absolute insanity coming out. CGA walking away with a robbery. Not only do they get the objective, they get 2 kills to boot, including the enemy jungler. Dice, you need to make a miracle play with teleport if there's any chance for your team to survive here. Going in from the top side, we do have the flank coming out. No Emperor's Divide, no flash. If you get picked off by Kassin, you die. What happens here? The health bars are low. Will CGA stick to it?
CGA, also known as can't guarantee anything, are a team known from their variability from match to match. High elo coaches struggle to understand the complexities and the nuances to their gameplay as they start the Baron, but lose the fight around it. Kassin going down. No purple buff for the team in blue.
And the thing is, we still have that Aphelios alive now, flawless, able to Hex Flash into the pit. Primo will not have the Curse of the Sad Mummy. There is sweet nothing you can do. You're approaching in. Oh no, will this be a counter throw for Burning Core? The Victor ult is up.
Potentially Victor in the pit is disgusting, and Dice doesn't really have the room to DPS this. They are able to take the Baron as Primo diving forward, but no ultimate available. Nap though, with the needles, with the work, doing the damage as Yuhi falls down as well. CGA somehow are coming back into this game.
Wait, Dice, don't take
it down with a red buff!
Oh, that was terrifying. That was absolutely terrifying. If you lost your last Baron buff, then that is the least worth series of events in the game. But Burning Core managed to keep 1 Baron and deny it from CGA. Let's see how it kicked off, because it was actually this TP coming in from Dice, the man in the mid lane, able to get them off of this objective just from going over the wall. But it chunks them out so much that in the series of play that followed, there was really not much for Dice to do. They had to hide over the wall. And you see Yuhi goes in and collects the jungler with their mid. Doesn't turn back onto the objective immediately, which means it takes quite a long time to get low, which enables the mid jungle of Hybrid and Cocoon to make their way over, and that is the only reason they are here to contest in time. Remember, the objective reset from 6k HP, so it would have already been dead if they stuck to it. And now it is just fish in a barrel for CGA. Dice almost getting taken out by the Gwen ultimate over the wall. Very, very good counterattack from CGA, and such a narrow window that Burning Core trips over in.
And I have got to shout out Nap. The Gwen was first picked, and we know how much this guy can pop off in the teamfight. CGA were in dire straits in this game, and the ability of that man in the top lane to really pull out the damage when needed cannot be underestimated. And now Burning Core, despite the gold lead that they had in the early stages, despite the gold lead that they technically still retain, are so far behind in this game. This Baron buff, which is going to last another minute, is going to stymie the ability of CGA to go forward. But look at that gold graph. This game has been flipped on its head.
And the biggest question for me is, what can CGA actually do to keep that lead rolling? Because they really don't siege well. This comp has to dive you. They cannot actually poke a tower. You're against an Azir. We've talked about the zone control, right? Burning Core 100 times over at this point. And the fact that they could just deny any push potential from CGA in a traditional manner means that these objective fights are not only the strongest window for CGA, that are essential. If you do not get a winning objective fight, Burning Core have no obligation to actually interact with you.
A Blitzcrank bot there coming out with a CGA 80% chance of winning. I'm sure that chance was very low for the majority of this game, but they currently hold the advantage. I wouldn't put it past them throwing though, so need to make sure that they are playing the rest of this game out cleanly. Elder spawning in a minute 40 is going to be a massive point of contention, and despite the fact that Burning Core should be disadvantaged in this upcoming fight, if they can steal away that buff, then it's game on.
Now we do have the walking over. It's just going to be that degree of setup with such little time before that game-ending objective sports. I say game-ending, right? We've seen a lot of matches in the current meta go to 2, 3 Barons and Elders. This could become one of those fiestas, depending on how the fight kicks off, but it's all about the vision control now. Because if you can look for those flanks again, we saw how impactful Rayfaki can be if they could get behind the CGA team. It's all about looking from that mid-pro, trying to pivot to the objective, and Elder has a lot of HP. You can't just burn it like an Infernal. So we will get a long fight here one way or the other.
But I think a key thing when we're talking about Rayfaki on this AP Gragas, yes, he has the 3 items, but this is a pick that can fall off to a certain extent. And if you look at the items that Hybrid is building, it's the Shield Bow, it's the Wit's End. They're going to have a Bloodthirster relatively soon, maybe not for this upcoming fight, but this Callista is a little bit tankier than you would necessarily expect as CGA completely eschewing any notion of moving into the river. They just want this mid lane priority for the time being.
I really like this because it means that you can then pivot back through and it leaves Burning Core in a horribly awkward spot, as you do have the control over the river, which you knew Burning Core was going to have, and now they have to actually force to come out to touch the wave. Otherwise, you get to just walk it down mid. The only thing is, are you willing to throw this Elder? No, they say it's all a fake out. Let's go for a flank angle on 5 people.
It's going to be quite difficult to do as
Eyes
Nap
on
is going to
Primo.
be knocked up with a Primo. As Primo diving
my
into
God!
a 4-person Curse of the Sad Money, subbing him for his first game in the LJL and pulling off massive plays for his team. Yuhi, though, going to be slaying the rookie for the first kill of the fight, but CJ, they've got some decent health bars. The Moonlight Vigil was absolutely massive, as it's Yuhi who's popping off in this fight. Burning Core somehow turned that around and are going to claim Elder.
Immediate reverse sweep of that fight. It is only Hybrid alive, both summoners, but nothing they can do. They're going to walk down mid and try and secure turrets. But at the end of the day, you won't be able to stop this Baron attempt immediately after, because everybody on Burning Core is going to get a free reset with Elder. What on earth are you going to do? And it's a chase.
Oh my word, as we jump into this replay, it looked like such a strong engage from CGA, but they just weren't able to follow it up with the damage. As we see in the picture-in-picture, Hybrid going to be taken down by 3 members of the opposing side.
Okay, so back to this. The massive Curse of the Sad Mummy followed up by Kassin, spreading the entire team. It's flawless, though. Keeping Cocoon away, not able to get that follow-up DPS. Hybrid, again, not able to hit. Everybody is so far ahead, but the follow-up is impossible. Isn't going to get anything off of that Shuriman Shuffle, but it didn't matter in the end because the follow-up DPS from Yuhi finishes off everybody else from CGA. Not exactly the cleanest series of events, but it got the job done for Burning Core, able to counterattack so beautifully. They are rewarded with both Baron, Elder, and a dead Hybrid for the next couple seconds. What are they going to do with this? I hope it's just Siege, because unlike the enemy team, you do a damn good job of just auto-attacking towers from range.
And I mean, the power of those stopwatches in that last fight, the power of the Zhonyas was absolutely exceptional. Because Burning Core did take that Baron, though, the Elder buff has been not wasted to a certain extent, but you're not going to be able to use it to fight CGA again, as they actually committed TPs to make that play onto Hybrid as well. So Burning Core may be a little bit less efficient than they could have been with those resources, but they've still got a minute of double buffs on their back and are going to look for a siege.
And one of the biggest things that I want to just remind everybody of, this is an important game for both of them.
Yes!
Right? This is the game that effectively keeps you in the race for playoffs for this week. So you absolutely need this. If CGA lose here and now, then they will be most likely behind Axis at the end of the day, out of playoffs. This is such a terrifying moment, and you've subbed in 2 rookies to handle it. What can Cocoon and Primo do here? It's such dire straits.
25 seconds until the Elder buff falls off. That is when CGA are going to be able to fight, but Burning Core want to end the game before that's even a possibility. The explosive cast throwing out a lot of damage onto that Amumu. Primo, who needs to be the engaged threat, going to be forced back to base and forced back into this fight in just a moment's time. 8 seconds until the Elder buff falls off. CJ are going to be counting down the seconds until they can look for this engage. Primo going in a little bit too early on the Amumu, but now CJ can look for the fight. Nap dealing so much damage, but getting so much damage dealt to him. The sustain on the Gwain is absolutely insane as Cocoon is so low himself. Blinking health bars on multiple members, but Hybrid still standing tall. A TP behind. Burning Core, they could all fall here as Cocoon joining the fight. The death lanes are not enough to take anyone down, and that Azir tower is going to provide provide a little bit more safety. No, 1 dead, the tower falls, 2 dead. Snap claims the kill, and Yuhi in that stopwatch will not last a second longer. 3-0 in favor of CGA.
What should have been the end of the game turns into a breath of fresh air. CGA able to leave their base and walk it down mid. Yuhi and Rayfaki are dead for 40 seconds. That is an inhib if they want it, but the thing is you're sieging against Dice on this Azir, which just leaves you in the same issue again. How do you actually do anything with that team fight win? And it is so narrow. Primo, they go in, but at the same time, Yuhi throws out the Moonlight Vigil, so it doesn't actually enable either of the DPS, Cocoon or Hybrid, to follow. So it's just a massively scattered encounter from both sides. The fact that Cocoon doesn't drop to the last second of the Elder is so important off of the back of that stopwatch, because as you see, they're going to base first, get the initial TP in, and it's almost like herding sheep from the CGA squad. Everybody's so low from Burning Core, and it is just trying to put up those fence posts to enable as many kills as possible.
And the crazy thing is that even after this fight, the game is not yet over.
It's back in a neutral state. Elder's up in a minute 50. Effectively, it's like nothing happened. Because if you were going to win the game, one Nexus Tower isn't going to make a massive difference. All it's done is enable a potential backdoor for Burning Core, which I don't think is the way this game ends.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past these teams, Melvin Izzle. If this game has been a little bit crazy, a little bit wacky, and a backdoor would be a perfect way for it to end, in my opinion. This Super Minion wave in the mid lane is going to offer additional pressure for Burning Core, so I anticipate that once again, they're going to be the ones with the first rotate over towards this Elder buff. But again, you cannot count out the power of that Infernal Soul, that permanent buff, that permanent extra damage that CGA have always got helping them out.
So, key cooldowns we need to keep an eye on here is the fact that Yuhi has upgraded that stopwatch into the GA. 2 Zhonyas, once again for the solo laners of Burning Core. We saw them win the last Elder fight off of the back of those cooldowns. So, with Primo having Flash and priority at the objective for CGA, I think the best thing they could do is fish for a pick before the team fight. Because if you go for a big scrap with all 5v5, I think that the backfire potential on that is absolutely massive when you're against an Azir, against a, well, basically full item of Aphelios as well. So many variables that just make it a dire situation. As now, Burning Core doing to CGA what they just did on the last Elder fight.
Yeah, both teams like really keen to contest for this mid lane priority, and neither wants to give it up too easily. Cocoon can poke with these death laners with their Infernal Soul, extra burn, extra damage. Flawless not caring about it too much, can be fairly tanky on the Trundle in the front side as Hybrid laying a few autos into it. Rayfaki looking for the fight, but the stopwatch for Cocoon to keep himself alive means that CJ actually have a chance in this fight. Nap already with a kill onto Loser as the Emperor's Divide is going to push back the top laner and take him down. Dice able to free hit as Hybrid trying to cut as much as he can. It's a 2v2 on the map, but it does not look good for Crest Gaming Actors. Yuhi taking out Hybrid. He keeps cutting, flashing away from the damage, and Dice forced to escape. How the hell have CGA pulled that one out of the bag?
All on the back of this ADC do they manage to survive. The initial play puts Cocoon out of it, but they live for so long. This is going to be CGA collecting the first of the God objectives. 22 seconds before that Baron spawns, but you need to clear the wave. You have what is basically an open base to an Azir. And look at how this starts. It is such a good insect play from Rayfaki, who goes on, gets the continuance, and the stopwatch saves them, which means we get a hilarious scrap here. Only one person caught out with the Curse of the Sad Mummy, but Yuhi, with that Guardian Angel, will come back. Cocoon flashes the wall into the waiting arms of Trundle, and it is just a massive spray of AoE damage. And at the end of the day, Hybrid survives the whole way, manages to kite out a Trundle in melee range, and obliterates them in one fell pull of the spear. Look at that damage. Insane.
Yo, guys. Yo, Honey, Vital, Utapon, nobodies. No names compared to Hybrid IMO. The best AD carry in LJL. 8.5 thousand damage in that last team fight. This is the guy that CJ live or die by, and with three big late game objectives, Might be Burning Core who are dying. 1 minute 15 seconds left on that Elder buff. Melvin Izzle. The game state has swapped around from where it was 5 minutes ago, but CGA, they don't really have the best ability to siege, and the waves are not in a good place for them.
With Baron buff, you don't need to siege, you can dive, and that is a threat that Burning Call knows all too well. With a minute before the Elder Dragon ends up leaving
They back away.
the arms of CGA, I can't believe it. They don't want to risk overextending, knowing that with just one Nexus Tower alive, a single lost member here could be the end of the game. Is that a reserved play from CGA? Because I feel like my eyes deceive me right now.
But is it a good play? It's definitely a reserve play. It's definitely them backing back and not wanting to throw away this game on a silly play in the mid lane. But Melvin Izzle, it's going to bring us back to parity very, very soon. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a third Elder Drake taken in this game.
I joked about it earlier on when we said this is just as primed to be a potential 20-minute sweep, but it is the reality right now. As now, what we do see is this mid-priority continuing to be the most important part of CGA's game. Because if you ever lose mid-prior, double TPs from Burning Core, you have great members with a potential Graviton Moonlight Vigil from Yuhi to stop TPs back from range. So it's a terrifying prospect for CGA every time they leave base, and using this teleport here aggressively is so scary now.
Yeah, trying to secure this siege. Dice, ooh. It's a fair chunk onto Dice, and there's no one on Burning Hill that is going to be able to heal up that mid laner, so the Fountain is probably going to be their next destination, and this frees up CGA to secure the push. This Baron is going to be falling off in a minute's time. I'm not sure if that's enough to take down this inhib in the bot lane, and if it isn't, well, Burning Core are going to be very happy about how this game's going. CGA very, very split out across the map there. Yeah. They're trying to sort of pull apart Burning Core, but not really doing it as effectively as they'd like.
I don't think Burning Core have realized where Nap is yet. And now coming out into vision, the question becomes, how can you force? Because the only way Burning Core win in this game state is by looking for a pick before the Baron ends. And Hybrid is definitely the pick they are fishing for right now. And he knows it. Backing away, it's just going to be an extra tower. Basically just extra credit secured here from CGA. They really shouldn't have been able to get that one, but the threat of Hybrid having multiple members behind them, the vision control, doing quite a lot for CGA to get away with that one, leaving both teams now with basically exposed bases, and for the first time in the game, CGA having tower advantage.
What the bloody hell is going on, Melvin Izzle?
This is a CGA game. All right, I got my Sengoku shellacking. You get your CGA drama. This is a soap opera of a game.
Possibly the most CGA Burning Core game possible.
Oh, but I'm enjoying every second of it.
I am as well. I am as well. Yes, I think the macro could have been cleaner from both these teams, but the thing that really excites me about League of Legends, the thing that I live for, is team fighting, and both teams really going all at it, being so close. The margins being so close, and we've seen that a few times in this game, and I imagine we're going to see it at least once more before one of these Nexuses fall. Elder spawning in 1:20, and because of those towers that CJ were able to take, they can just stay posted in Burning Core's bottom side jungle without a care in the world.
All right, Middlecore, I know I've done it to you a couple times now, but it is the customary stopwatch check. We have got 4 stopwatches on Burning Core's side. Everybody except for Yuhi is actually safe if they can activate that ability. Yuhi being the only vulnerable target, but they do have Gale Force and double suns. So in theory, they should be safe. You know, big in theory. CGA, on the other hand, have picked up 3 stopwatches for everybody except for Nap and Hybrid. Both of those 2 remaining members have all their sums, and Hybrid has the GA in pocket. A very tanky Kalista, the heart and soul of this team, if you will, as they are solo pushing out this mid lane. And I think the Burning Core see that as a challenge.
Yeah, I think they see that as well, as Force going to throw out a pillar onto Cocoon. Again, Melvin Izzle, we are having this small contestation for that mid lane priority. And once again, it's CJ who have got the first move into the river. Flawless being jumped onto by Primo. Zatrungle is taken relatively low. Obviously can sustain a fair bit, as the Guardian is going to fall off as well. Small advantages being taken away from Burning Core, but those could be so pivotal in this upcoming fight. Elder now on the Rift. Burning Core going to be incentivized to move a little bit further forward, but Cocoon and Nap actually a little bit split from the rest of CGA as Hybrid starting up this Elder and Ray Farky already taken to 40% HP on the side. Flawless. Looking forward, Yuhi gonna find 2 with the Moonlight Vigil, but that's not really effective damage being done to the members of CGA as Burning Core now going forward, trying to contest onto this Elder as the flash roll Cocoon, but he doesn't cast any spells. Hybrid now on the other side looking for Flawless as he's dived into the middle of CGA and Primo doesn't quite find the bandage toss, so he's gonna have to go on themselves. Elder on 4k HP as Ray Farky is one shot.
Flawless
A
in the pit.
5v4 in favor of CGA as the Juggler is gonna fall down and they claim the Elder. They don't need to look for any more, but Kassin may do just that as Hybrid's autos are going to follow through. The Elder Bird ticking down, and dust will fall.
Hybrid, the man who does it all for this team, is going to finish the mid laner down. The biggest wall that has stopped CGA being able to play this game, be able to take these turrets, is gone. This should be the Nexus. Yuhi and Loser are all that stands in the way, and what could they even do?
They can do absolutely nothing. CGA pull back this game from the precipice and claim victory over Burning Core.
Tying up the record at 4-6 between them, looking to make sure that that battle with Axis for the last playoff spot is alive across the board. So essential, such an important win, and they managed to do it with not 1, 2 rookie substitutions. How insane is that?
And a game that went that late, a game that became so high tension in the final stages, coming in your first appearances on the LJL stage. It is a baptism by fire, but credit to Cocoon and Primo. They stood up, they were counted, and they were there right at the end when CJ blew up Burning Core's Nexus. There's a hell of a lot to talk about coming out of that game, and we are going to talk about it all in a few minutes' time after this short break. Oh my word.
come back from that. Whoa!
We won! Let's go!
Thank you. That was not disturbing at all to me, you know. That's fine. Well, welcome back to the LJL unofficial broadcast. That was an absolute banger of a match.
Yes.
What the hell? It started off a little bit sleepy, but then as they, wow, I don't know. CGA was able to be catching up and just, I don't know, flip that game. I don't know how that really happened, but maybe you experts can explain to us what the hell we just witnessed.
Dragons.
Yeah, dragons. This
Yeah.
was
Dragons.
Infernal Soul being absolutely insane because while CGA did fall to a pretty significant disadvantage in the early game, and credit to Burning Core, they actually played out, I'd say, the first sort of like 20, 25 minutes of this game really, really well. CGA were constantly able to sneak away these dragons, and that meant that this Callista and this Jin Zhao and these Amumu champions who are a little bit less powerful in the later stages of the game had that extra bit of damage buff that was useful and just got them over the line in some of these later team fights.
Absolutely agree. And also the fact that was that Infernal Rift did so many favors against this squad with the zone control that Burning Core had. We saw once it started to become those elongated fights hybrid going absolutely nutty on the Callista multiple times throughout that game. Monstrous performance enabled partly by the fact that they had so many ways to kite around objectives. Very clean.
All right, guys, pick an MVP for this match. We can begin with
Done.
Melvin.
It's hybrid. There's nobody
Hybrid.
else like.
Fair.
I would say that Primo
I
and Cocoon had a
figured.
great debut, but nobody else kited out a Trundle in melee range.
Oh, there you go.
How does he do it?
Oh yes. I mean,
Yep.
it was an Uno reverse card because this game was so far away from CGA, but this is something that we've seen from this team time and time again. And every time we see it, it becomes more and more frustrating because we see the glimpses of what this team can be when they're all on the same page, when they're all functioning as a unit, but we really don't see it enough. And it's why that they are in this battle at the bottom of the playoff standings, but you cannot deny the quality that a player like Hybrid brings to any game that he's in.
Absolutely. And a very significant win for them, being able to put themselves in equal standing with what we expect to be that 6th place battle by the end of the day. Very important win for the team. And the fact that they do it with those new substitutions was chef's kiss.
Do we know why they had substitutions in the team, actually?
So I have actually just checked, and apparently Nema was actually not feeling particularly well. Hence why Primo subbed in. Not any information on why Kasin wasn't playing. Why Kaito wasn't playing. But I mean, credit to Cocoon. Like, they actually did a really good job in that mid lane up against Dice. Yes, they were put behind. Yes, it was Dice that really had the flow of that mid lane, but Cocoon wasn't
for that.
Wasn't dying randomly. And yeah, Flawless was applying a lot of pressure as well. So I think solid performances from actually both of the rookies on CGA here.
Yeah, I can't say that either of the teams played badly. This was a head-to-head matchup, and honestly, I don't know. I didn't really know exactly what we were going to be getting into, but I was excited to see them perform that way. Now, we see this Gragas in the top lane here, and it worked out until, I suppose, you know,
he got outscaled.
Yeah, exactly.
It was Gwen. That's it.
It was Gwen Gaming. Yes, it was very, very clear. But why do you guys think that they opted for this pick instead of something else?
I think that it was very clear from the draft what Burning Core wanted to do. They wanted to control those areas. And the thing is, they didn't get the dragons, right? When you get clean swept on the dragons into multiple elders taken away from you, you fundamentally failed at what the comp wanted to do. Everything Burning Core's comp wanted was to be there at the objective and say, no, don't come over here. And because they weren't able to do it, it kind of fell apart. And Gwen at 5 items is a lot scarier than Gragas at any number of items.
Middlecott, do tell me, now that CGA has the leg up, how do you think that they are going to perform in the remainder of the championship based on what you saw today?
Based on what I saw today, they are going to continue to be Crest Gaming Ats. They are going to continue to randomly flip games. They are going to continue to lose when they shouldn't and win when it seems impossible. This game only reinforces the narrative that CGA are a team that can beat and lose to anybody. And to be fair, I think they did both in this game.
Yeah, that's definitely the vibe I was
both
getting.
Lost and won. What about you, Melvin?
I would completely agree with that. I think that CGA is on the exact trajectory we expected of, like a sine graph, not to go back to school too much, but it's just completely, it's a system. We know what's going to happen. There's going to be wins, there's going to be losses, and whoever faces them on the good days, as we saw right here, will get those losses that they really feel like they didn't deserve.
All right, that's fair. Well, we do have V3 versus Axis up next, and I'm wondering if you guys think that this game might hold up the standard of the two bangers that we actually just saw. Not quite.
It's going to be a game.
Maybe.
It's going to be a game of League of Legends, Lara.
A game of
That's
League of
true.
Legends.
Yeah.
Did you know, actually, one thing I will say before we round it off for Axis is they are the #1 ranked team in the LJL if you go by teams alphabetically.
Wow. I guess you're right. That's actually so toxic. What the hell, Melvin?
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
You say that I am the one that comes up with the mean stuff to say on broadcast, but man, you know what?
Well, best of luck for Initializer Mosswad who have got that one.
Yeah.
They have got a game in store.
Well, you know what? I feel like if anything, they can make this match entertaining for us to watch.
Exactly.
So at least they're going to have a lot to say. All right, guys. I think it's fair to call on a short break before we begin speaking of the next match. And I know that you got a train to catch, sir. So let's wave our goodbyes and jump into a break. Yeah?
In a bit.